So good morning. My name is Marklin Pibalani, and I was assigned of the three fallacies. So first, let us define what is fallacy. What is fallacy? Fallacy is a mistake in thinking that makes an argument seem right even when it's not. It's like a sneaky trick that tricks people into believing something that might not be true. Next is let us define what fallacy of relevance is. Fallacy of relevance is a share of common characteristics that the arguments in which they occur have premises that are logically irrelevant to the conclusion. Additionally, when there is a fallacy of relevance, the stuff used to support an argument doesn't really match up logically with the point being made. It might seem related because it appeals to feelings or emotions, but it doesn't actually prove the argument. In a good argument, the points must actually support the conclusion, but in this case, it's more about emotions or other things that don't really prove the point. So now let us define the fallacy that I was assigned. First fallacy that I was assigned is appeal to force. Appeal to force happens when someone tries to make another person agree with a conclusion by either directly or indirectly threatening harm if they don't accept it. This fallacy happens when someone tries to make others agree by threatening to hurt them physically or emotionally if they don't. It's like when kids argue and one threatens other to win the argument. For example, child to playmate. Sesame happens. Sesame Street is the best shown on TV, and if you don't believe it, I'm going to call my big brother over here and he's going to beat you up. This fallacy appeal to force happens when someone tries to make others agree by using threats instead of good reasons, like the example provided in reading materials that says Sesame Street is the best shown and threatens to hurt everyone if they don't agree. That's not fair way to prove a point about show's quality. This fallacy is not also about child to playmate. It, it can occur among adults as well. For example, secretary to boss. I deserve a raise in salary for the coming year. After all, you know how friendly I am with your wife, and I'm sure you wouldn't want her to find out what's been going to between you and the, and the sex pot client of yours. This example of the fallacy of appeal to force that provided in the reading materials known as blackmail or extortion. Based on the example, the person is attempting to get a raise by implying they reveal sensitive or damaging information about the boss's personal life. If they don't get the one, it's an attempt to manipulate by using a threat rather than reasonable arguments for a salary increase. So second fallacy that I was assigned is appeal to piety. Appeal to piety occurs when an arguer attempts to support a conclusion by merely evoking piety from the reader and listener. It may be directly toward an arguer or toward some third party. For example, a taxpayer to judge. Your Honor, I admit that I declared 13 children as dependents on my tax return, even though I have only two. But if you don't me guilty to have evasion, my reputation will be ruined. I'll probably lose my job. My poor wife will not be able to have the operation that she desperately needs, and my kids starve surely. I am not guilty. This person this person in the example is using the fallacy to appeal to piety by trying to avoid being seen as guilty by making the judge feel sorry for them. They're using such situations about their reputation, job, wife's health, and their children to distract from the fact that they committed tax evasion. The conclusion of the example is surely I am not guilty. Obviously, the conclusion is logically relevant to the arguer's set of pathetic circumstances, although it is psychologically relevant. The appeal to piety is quite common and is often used by students on their instructor at the exam time and by lawyers on behalf of their clients before judges and juries. So third fallacy that I was assigned is appeal to people. Appeal to people uses desires to get reader or listener to accept conclusion. And this fallacy has two kinds of approaches. First is direct approach. When an arguer addressing a large group of people excites the emotion and enthusiasm of the crowd to win acceptance for his conclusion. Objective is arouse a kind of mob mentality. Arousal of mob mentality produces an immediate feeling of belonging. So second approach is indirect approach. Indirect approach, arguer aims to his or her appeal not at the crowd as a whole, but at one or more individuals separately. It concludes such specific forms as the bandwagon argument. So let us define what is bandwagon argument is. Bandwagon argument is the idea that you will be left behind or left out the group if you don't use the product. So first example is, of course, you want to buy zinc toothpaste. 90% of America brushes with zinc. Second example is the few, the proud, and the Marines. The message is that if you join the Marines, then you too will be admired and respected. These examples illustrates how the indirect version of the appeal to the people can overlap the false cause fallacy. Both the indirect and direct approaches of the ad populum fallacy have the same basic structure.